topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning, Florida. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where we bring you, and I mean truly, we bring you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. I love our first show today. It is, especially after what happened this weekend, we got so many people emailing us. And this show, I swear, this show reminds me of E.F. Hutton, because when our expert, Ray Ferrara, speaks, it's like, what is he going to say now? What is he going to say now? We are so blessed to have Provise Management Group. Let me welcome Ray Ferrara. Good morning, Ray.
Good morning, Steve. And yes, it was a very interesting and unfortunate weekend.
I don't know why. I guess I'm really showing my age, but I always loved the E.F. Hutton commercial, the one where they would say, everybody would turn around when someone said, well, my broker says, everybody would turn around. And it's kind of like you, Ray, because you are so right on, and we are so lucky to have you, and people want to know what you have to say next. Tell people about Provise.
Steve, Provise Management Group is based in Clearwater, Florida, and also we have an office in Tampa. But we are serving about 1,100 families scattered over 30 states. The greatest majority, of course, are here in the Tampa Bay area, and the biggest state is represented by Florida. But we cover from Tallahassee down to Fort Lauderdale with our current client group, and look forward to adding other listeners. We are, Steve, a financial planning and investment management firm with the emphasis on financial planning. It's our belief that while many people are just out there gathering assets and talking about their investment prowess, our differentiator is we are financial planners, and we actually do financial planning because we believe that if people have a written financial plan, their odds of success financially are significantly increased. Delighted to be here, invite others to join us. Of course, you can reach out to us at 727-447-4787 or the number you see scrolling across the bottom. But also the way to get to know us a little bit better is simply go to provise.com. That's PROVISE.com. And Steve, I should mention that we offer a complimentary 1-hour consultation, either in person in one of our 2 offices, and for those that are outside the Tampa Bay area, regardless of where they're located in the United States, happy to do that initial interview by Zoom as well. Sorry to have interrupted, Steve.
No, that's we've one of your fan club, a great listener to your show, wrote a question knowing you're going to be on today. He said, what is the difference between a financial planner and an estate planning law firm?
Well, the difference is estate planning lawyers have a legal degree. And while most financial planners or many financial planners, over 100,000. And I had the pleasure of being the chair of the Certified Financial Planners Board of Standards back in 2014. More and more are becoming certified financial planners, distinguished from having a law degree. Excuse me. Although there are those that have both, and estate lawyers practice a law on just estate planning, where as a financial planner, we're more of a, if you could think of us more as the family doctor, the general practitioner. We're going to cover everything at a financial level, starting with net worth, cash flow, retirement planning, estate planning, education planning, investment planning. And the list goes on, because we're trying to cover all of the various facets in a holistic level with the clients.
Okay, that should definitely answer his question. Now, with the assassination attempt, and thank God President Trump is okay. Blessings go out to the fireman that lost his life and the ones that are in the hospital now. But with the assassination attempt, Ray, what changes in the elections do you anticipate that will affect the economy and the markets?
Well, Steve, I fully concur with you. Much sympathy going out to the fireman's family while he was trying to protect his family and made the ultimate sacrifice. The other two individuals that were injured, and for the family of the young boy, and I'm going to call him a boy at 20 years of age, that attempted to assassinate the president, and not the least of which we need to also be thankful that the worst that happened to the president was damage to his right ear. But oh my gosh, 1 inch just to the right of, just to the left, and it would have been a whole different election cycle. Clearly, both the former President Trump and last night President Biden have called for unity, which is much needed. Both have asked to try to tone down the rhetoric, and I would like to think that would occur this week at the Republican convention in Milwaukee. But we'll have to see. Hopefully they'll be talking about the issues, the policies, the differentiation that exists there, and not the vitriol of the individuals themselves between one side and the other, but talking more about the differentiation in policy. Because at the end of the day, whichever one of the two of them is going to be reelected to office, it will have an impact on the economy. If we look at President Biden being reelected, and if he were to have an all Democratic Senate and House, which is unlikely at the moment, we would look for higher taxes on what he has defined as the rich and the super rich, the rich being those that make more than $400,000 a year. The super rich, I don't know, pick a number, I guess at $1 million a year. We would look for higher taxes. We would look for, from an investment point of view, people continuing to invest in a green economy, as he would continue to push electrical vehicles, a reduction of coal. So anything if the president is reelected and has some control over Congress, in that area, he would continue the policies that he currently has. If former President Trump were to get elected in exchange, you're going to see much less regulation. You're going to see many of the rules and regulation that were promulgated over the last 3 years rolled back. It does concern me that the president, former President Trump, has talked about tariffs. as you know, we are a strong proponent of a free enterprise system, and tariffs are not a free enterprise system. And many are saying that, well, he's just using them to negotiate with others. Yeah, but if everybody knows you're negotiating with them and that you're not really serious, they're not going to be a lot of good for you. So I would expect that somewhere along the line, he would exercise and put a tariff on some things just to show that he would be serious about doing it and not just negotiating. I think the best thing, Steve, or I should say the best economy occurs with, regardless of which party is in power, the best economy occurs and the best markets occur when there's a split in the House and in the Senate of who controls what, because it forces people to sit down and compromise with each other, or it causes gridlock. And some people would say the fact that the government does nothing would be a good thing. But we have some very serious things coming up in the next couple of years. The elimination of the 2017 tax acts disappear at the end of 2025. We have to deal with that because it would raise the taxes on a significant number of people, middle class, rich, and uber rich would all be affected. So I would say to folks, as they think about the election right now and their conversations around their own dinner table and with family and friends, it's important for all of us to turn down the rhetoric and let's talk about policy, but let's talk about it in a civil way.
Amen to that. Hey, we finally got some good news on inflation this last week. Does this change your view on interest rate cuts this year?
Well, Steve, it was good news last week when we found out that inflation based at the CPI, which was expected to increase 0.1% month over month, actually decreased 0.1%. So prices actually went down. They just didn't quit accelerating. They actually went down. And that's kind of a double whammy in a good way. To see prices come down, and at the core level, they were pretty much as was expected. So that indicates that the volatile food and energy areas had abated over month from May to June. So it's a great start. We got down to about a 3% CPI, 3.1% at the core level. Those numbers are extremely good. If we can do this a couple of more months leading into September, when most people expect that the Fed will reduce interest rates at that point. And we right now are giving it a 50-50 chance. We hope they do not reduce interest rates in September. We think a few more months of the higher interest rates would be good. If they don't do it in September, don't expect it until after the elections. And there's 2 meetings after the election, one at literally the day after the elections, and then another one in December before the holidays. So we would give it a good chance for one of those 2 dates to be when they might start to reduce rates and then continue to reduce rates at a very slow pace into 2025. So 50-50 for September. If not September, maybe one cut after the election, either in November or December.
We just got a text from Brad in Orlando. Wants to know, with the RNC convention this week, what would you like to hear regarding the economy come from Trump?
Well, much of what I said. First of all, I am loath to have tariffs. So I would hope that there is not an emphasis placed on that. I hope that we hear from former President Trump and the Republicans in their platform to reduce expenses in the federal government. We simply cannot continue to spend trillions of dollars a year more than we take in. It will cause a need for some tax reform, and reform can go both ways, higher and lower. That doesn't mean lower taxes when you talk about tax reform. But right now, Steve, you take the top 50% of taxpayers, and that incorporates a lot more than the rich and the uber rich, are paying almost 100% of all of the taxes in income taxes in America. But we need to look at more than just income taxes. Very concerned about Social Security and its ability to survive after another 8 or 9 years. It's going to require higher taxes. It's going to require extending the age at which you get full employment benefit or full retirement benefits. These are things we just have to do to get where we need to be. I'd also like to hear the Republicans be very strong on an economic basis with our European partners, particularly in light of what is happening in the Ukraine. I know that former President Trump has not been as supportive of Ukraine as perhaps President Biden has been, but I think it's important for the security of America that we do fight that battle that's there. If we're not safe, if we don't feel safe here, all you have to do is to hearken back to the panic of 9/11, and it's a different world today, some 20 plus years later, but it's one that is still super sensitive. So stability, tax reform, no tariffs, unity, I think would bring great confidence to America, and with confidence, we will have a thriving economy and thriving markets.
We just got another text from Greg in Miami. Just found your show, really enjoying your show. I don't know when your next show is, which it'll be in 2 weeks. I want to know if you'll come back and talk about the president's speech and what you thought of what he wants to do with the economy on your next show. So
I'll be more than happy on that. Yeah, I'll be more than happy to go in more depth on the Democratic side at the next show. But I think it can be summed up here, and I'll be more specific later, but it can be summed up here as more of what we have seen the last 3 years. And I'm not saying whether it's good or
you've
bad.
Been very gifted. You've been very gifted, as the way you explain the economy makes it so easy for people to understand. And I can't say that regarding many of the commentators out there. So we're so lucky to have you. We're just getting started now with the third quarter earnings. How will these affect the economy and the markets for the rest of the year?
Well, Steve, I first of all, I think our economy is on a very good footing and moving in the right direction. However, the markets are well ahead of where they traditionally are, given the earnings that we have. If you reflect at current earnings, the S&P 500 is selling at a price to earnings ratio of about 27 times. And if you look ahead to anticipated earnings in 2025, it's selling at 21 times. Historically, the S&P 500 on a forward-looking basis has sold at about 15 to 17 times. So the market is ahead of the earnings. And it is all about earnings that support the price that exists in the market. So while I'm not prepared to say that there'll be a crash just because the price to earnings ratio is high, don't be surprised if we have a pullback in the market between now and election day that could be up to 10%. I'm not saying it'll happen, but it wouldn't surprise me to see it. I would view that as a huge buying opportunity because we think the market will be at least where it is today by the end of the year and slightly higher. When we were chatting just a month ago, commented that we thought the market would be higher at the end of the year than we did it in mid-June. And we still think that's true from mid-June, but the market has continued to go up dramatically over the last 3 or 4 weeks. So we're saying people should not expect for a lot out of the markets between now and the end of the year. So now back to the question of those earnings. If we get earnings surprises in a major way, and I do mean in a big way, historically we always get surprises because companies like to underpromise and overperform, but they need to super overperform to give the market an opportunity to get another jolt in a positive direction. So it looks like we're going to get some very good earnings. The question is, how high up is that going to be on the very end side of things? When we get back together again in 2 more weeks, we'll have the first month behind us, and we'll have a much better feel for where we are.
Good. Let's go. This will be our last question. We got a lot of text in today. This is from Billy in Palm Beach. He says, I have a small but very profitable consulting business with 2 employees, and I'm fortunate to have excess cash, which should continue for years to come. How can I save money on a tax-efficient way?
Well, Steve, what a significant amount of our business is with people who own businesses, entrepreneurs, who we believe are the heartbeat of the economy in America and particularly here in the Tampa Bay area. And so we work with a lot of company owners, CEOs, presidents, in helping them, because as an entrepreneur myself, a significant amount of my life financially is wrapped up in my company. And there are certain things that can be done to help secure that retirement, not only for the owner of the business, but for the employees themselves, but still favoring the owner. We are managing over about $250 million in 401k and retirement assets on behalf of our clients. We don't talk about that very much, but that's a pretty hefty number. And got an expert team in dealing with 401ks to help reduce costs, pick the best investments, et cetera. And as always, we do it at a fiduciary standard of care. In this case, beyond a 401k, you can put in a profit sharing plan, you could put in a cash balance plan. All of these can potentially help owners and key executives within companies to set aside additional money for their retirement. So we suggest to everyone, business owners, individuals, take advantage of our 1-hour consultation in our offices in Tampa or Clearwater, or by Zoom if you're outside of the Tampa Bay area, or even if you're in the Tampa Bay area. Go to provise.com, scrolling across the bottom there. That's PROVISE.com. Learn a little bit more about us. Come visit with us, and hopefully you will see the difference that 1,100 other families have across the United States.
Ray, the show always goes by so fast. You'll be back with us in 2 weeks at 9:00 Eastern Time, a.m. in the morning, and we are just so blessed to have Provise Management Group. Ray, thank you so much, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you, Steve. You take care and have a great day and a wonderful week.
Thanks, Ray. It's Ray Farrar, Provise Management. Is probably one of our best experts we've ever had. People love the show. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, we have more of Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.